My wife lied about being pregnant, then posted a blog calling me a monster. She forged ultrasound scans, faked appointments, and claimed our baby had D*ed twice. Hi, I'm Jonah, 34, and I found out my wife faked a miscarriage for the second time. The first time, I believed her. Cried with her. Held her through the night as she sobbed in my arms. I didn't ask questions. I didn't look too closely at the hospital paperwork she showed me. I was devastated, but I trusted her. The second time? I saw the whole thing unravel in real time, and I swear, it was like watching a car crash you couldn't stop, only this time the car was my entire marriage. It started with a surprise Instagram post. Not from my wife. From her sister. It was a picture of my wife, Jen, holding a cocktail at some beach bar in Cancun. She was laughing, sunglasses on, hair in messy vacation mode. The caption said, "Best girl trip ever. Baby-free and drama-free." It had 187 likes. Which wouldn't have been a problem, except I was home in Chicago, pacing our living room because Jen had just called me 2 hours earlier in tears, saying she was at the ER after losing our baby. Again. And here she was, tequila in hand, celebrating being childless. I stared at that post so long my phone screen dimmed. Then I refreshed it. Maybe it was old. Maybe the algorithm was messing with me. Maybe, God please, maybe this was a scheduled post from before the miscarriage. But nope. Geotag Cancun? Timestamp, 45 minutes ago. I called her. Straight to voicemail. Then I called her sister Elise. She picked up on the second ring, sounding way too chipper. "Hey Jonah! You need Jen? She's in the pool." "Elise," I said, voice shaking. "Is she okay? She just called me from the hospital. She said she lost the baby." There was a beat of silence. Then laughter. "Oh my God, is that what she told you?" Elise said, like I'd asked her if Jen had wings and could fly. "Elise. She told you she was at the ER? Wow. Okay, I thought she was just lying to her boss. She said she lost the baby? She was never pregnant, Jonah." The world tilted. "What are you talking about?" Elise sighed. "I didn't want to get in the middle of this, but you sound like you're about to have a stroke. Jen told me she was gonna fake another pregnancy to keep you from leaving. She said you'd been emotionally distant and that a baby might help." I sat down. I don't even remember doing it, but one minute I was standing, the next I was on the floor of our kitchen with my back against the fridge. "Elise, this is the second time she's told me she miscarried." "I know. You knew?" "I suspected. I didn't say anything because I thought you knew too. Like maybe it was a weird kink thing? Or therapy roleplay? I didn't think you believed her." My stomach turned. "You thought I was in on it?" She didn't answer. Which was answer enough. I hung up without saying goodbye. I opened our shared health insurance portal. I'd never checked before. Never had a reason to. Jen always said she handled that stuff. No ER visits on record. No OBGYN appointments. Nothing. I clicked through the past year. Still nothing. Not a single medical record indicating pregnancy. I sat there for over an hour, staring at the digital proof that I'd been lied to. Manipulated. Gaslit. Twice. And that's when something dark and stupid inside me decided, I need to hear her say it. So I booked a flight to Cancun. Tomorrow. Because if I was going to end my marriage, I wanted to look her in the eye when I did it. And I wanted her to know that this time, I knew everything. And I wasn't staying. Not again. By the time my plane landed in Cancun, I'd already replayed every moment of the last 2 years like a bad highlight reel I couldn't turn off. Every "I'm late." Every "I don't feel right." Every time she'd cried in the shower because my body keeps failing us. I'd held her while she mourned pregnancies that never existed. I'd canceled trips, turned down job interviews, skipped my best friend's wedding because she wasn't emotionally ready yet. And the worst part? I wasn't angry yet. I was hollow. Like someone had scooped everything out of my chest and left a note that said, "You should have known better." I didn't tell Jen I was coming. I took a cab straight from the airport to the resort Elise had tagged. The driver kept trying to make small talk about how lucky I was, How beautiful Cancun was this time of year. I nodded and smiled like a normal human while my hands shook in my lap. The lobby smelled like coconut sunscreen and money. Couples everywhere. Honeymoon energy. Families with kids running around shrieking. I checked my phone. Another missed call from Jen. A text this time. They're keeping me overnight. I'm exhausted. I love you. I laughed. Out loud. A sharp, ugly sound that made the concierge look at me funny. I texted back one word. Where? No response. I didn't bother going to the front desk. Elise had tagged the pool bar in her story, and sure enough, there it was, packed, loud, music thumping like a heartbeat. And then I saw her. Jen. My wife. In a red bikini I'd never seen before. Hair pulled up. Sun-kissed. Laughing so hard she had her head thrown back, one hand on her stomach. The stomach, she told me, less than 12 hours ago, had just lost our baby. She was fine. She was more than fine. She was radiant. Something inside me finally snapped into place. I walked straight up to her. She didn't see me at first. She was mid-sentence, telling some guy about how men just don't understand emotional labor. Then she looked up. Her face drained of color so fast I thought she might pass out. Jonah? She whispered. What are you doing here? I didn't raise my voice. I didn't make a scene. I just stood there, staring at her like she was a stranger wearing my wife's face. You tell me, I said. Because last I heard, you were in the ER. Everyone around us went quiet. Not fully silent, but that uncomfortable ripple where people realize something real is happening. Jen scrambled to stand. I can explain. Great. I said. Explain the cocktail. She looked at the glass in her hand like she'd forgotten it existed. This isn't, Jonah, it's not what it looks like. Funny, I said. That's exactly what you said last time. Her friends were staring now. Elise wasn't there, but a few girls I didn't recognize were whispering to each other. Jen reached for my arm. I stepped back. Her face crumpled instantly. Tears on command. Same move she always used. Please, she said softly. Not here. I leaned in, low enough that only she could hear me. There is no baby, I said. Is there? She froze. Just for half a second. But it was enough. No, she whispered. I mean, I was going to tell you. When? I asked. After the nursery was done? After I quit my job to be more present? After the third fake miscarriage? Her lips trembled. I just needed time. For what? I asked. To decide which version of reality you wanted me to live in. She started crying for real then. Loud. Messy. The kind of crying that draws attention and sympathy. I was scared you'd leave, she said. And I was right, wasn't I? I felt something then. Not guilt. Clarity. You didn't fake pregnancies because you were scared, I said calmly. You did it because it worked. That's when she said the sentence that killed whatever was left of us. You were happier when you thought we were trying. I stared at her. You stole grief, I said. You stole something sacred and used it like duct tape on a broken marriage. She shook her head, sobbing. I loved you. No, I said. You loved the version of me you could control. Security was already moving toward us. Someone must have complained. Jen grabbed my hand again, desperate now. Jonah, please. Don't do this. We can fix this. We can actually try now. I pulled my hand free. There is no now, I said. You burned it. I turned and walked away while she screamed my name behind me, collapsing into the kind of scene she'd always been so good at creating. I didn't look back. Because if I did, I might have remembered the woman I thought she was. And that woman never existed. I checked into a cheap hotel near the airport that night. I didn't sleep. I just stared at the ceiling, listening to planes take off and land, thinking about how close I'd come to building a life on a lie. At 4:12 a.m., my phone buzzed. A message from Jen. I told my mom you came. She wants to talk to you. She says you owe me compassion. I blocked the number. Then I opened my notes app and typed something I never thought I would. Things I need to untangle when I get home. Because the lie didn't start with Cancun. And it didn't end there either. And tomorrow, I was going to find out just how far it really went. I flew home on 3 hours of sleep and pure adrenaline. The kind where your hands shake but your mind is razor sharp, like your body knows something huge just happened and it's not letting you dissociate yet. Every sound on the plane felt too loud. Every crying baby made my chest tighten in a way I didn't expect. I kept thinking, that noise should have been normal to me by now. When I landed, I didn't go home. I went to my office. I needed neutral ground. Somewhere Jen hadn't rearranged the furniture, or planted memories, or cried on the couch so many times it felt haunted. My boss took one look at me and said, "Take the day," without asking questions. I sat at my desk anyway, staring at my email like it might explain how my life detonated. That's when I saw it. A calendar invite from 8 months ago. OB follow-up, Jen. It was on my work calendar. I opened it. Location, Women's Health Associates. Time, 10:30 a.m. Notes. Jonah can't come, privacy. I frowned. Because I had gone to an appointment with her around that time. I distinctly remembered sitting in a waiting room holding a pamphlet about prenatal vitamins while she went back for labs. But this invite? It was never accepted. Never declined. It just existed. I called the clinic. "Hi," I said, keeping my voice steady. "I'm trying to verify an appointment from last year. My wife, Jennifer M." There was typing. Then, "I'm sorry, sir. We have no patient by that name in our system." I swallowed. Could it be under a different last name? She sometimes used her maiden name. More typing. "No," the receptionist said gently. "We don't have any record of her." I thanked her and hung up. I sat there for a long time. Because suddenly, the memory clicked. That appointment I remembered? She never actually went in. She told me to wait. Said it was a quick ultrasound consult. I'd sat there scrolling my phone for almost an hour. She came out pale, teary, clutching an envelope. I'd assumed it was skin results. Now I realized, she could have walked into any hallway. Any bathroom. Any random office. I checked my phone photos. Sure enough, there it was. A blurry picture of a black and white ultrasound she'd texted me later that day with. We heard the heartbeat. I reverse image searched it. It came from a stock photo website. Uploaded in 2016. I stood up so fast my chair toppled over. This wasn't just lying. This was performance. Planning. Props. I drove home then. Our house looked exactly the same. Her shoes by the door. Her stupid throw blanket on the couch. A half-assembled crib in the spare room we'd turned into a nursery. Just in case. I didn't cry. I started opening drawers. In the bathroom cabinet, behind the vitamins and skincare junk, I found a folder. Manila. Thick. Inside were printed lab reports. Appointment summaries. Discharge instructions from an ER. All fake. Different fonts. Mismatched formatting. One even had the wrong hospital logo, outdated by years. My hands went cold. This wasn't panic-induced lying. This was an entire parallel reality she'd built. At the bottom of the folder was something worse. A handwritten timeline. Month by month. Late period. Positive test. Jonah extra attentive. Fight, distance, risk. Miscarriage window? There was a question mark next to that last one. Like she was scheduling grief. I sat on the floor and laughed. Then I threw up. My phone buzzed. Jen. I hadn't blocked her email. Subject, please talk to me. The email was long. Apologetic. Full of therapy language she'd clearly Googled. I know I made mistakes. I was afraid. I never meant to hurt you. I just wanted us to be okay. Not once did she say I lied. Not once did she say I manipulated you. She ended it with, "We can still have the family we dreamed about." I replied with one sentence. You don't get to build a family on a fraud. Then I forwarded the email, the photos, the fake documents, everything, to my lawyer friend Mark. He called me immediately. "Jonah," he said slowly, "this is bad. Like, restraining order bad. Like psychiatric evaluation bad. I know, I said. What do I do? First, he said, you protect yourself. Second, you document everything. Third, do not let her back in that house alone with you. Too late. As if summoned, the front door unlocked. Jen walked in. Her face was red, eyes swollen. She looked wrecked. I needed to see you, she said. I stood up, keeping the kitchen island between us. You broke into my reality, I said. You don't get to just walk back in. She flinched. I didn't fake everything, she said quickly. I thought I was pregnant the first time. But not the second. She hesitated. That's when I panicked. I laughed again, sharp and humorless. You don't panic for 8 months, Jen. You plan. She looked around the house, like she was seeing it for the first time. I just wanted to matter to you. You mattered, I said. So much that you decided the only way to keep me was to traumatize me repeatedly. She dropped to her knees. Literally. I'll get help, she said. I swear. I'll do anything. I believed she believed that. But belief wasn't enough anymore. Get your things, I said. You're leaving. Her head snapped up. You can't just. I can, I said. And I am. She stared at me, and for the first time, the mask slipped. Not tears. Anger. So you're just done? She snapped. After everything I did for us? I tilted my head. Everything you staged. She stood up slowly. This is your fault too, she said. You loved the version of me that was pregnant. Don't pretend you didn't. That one landed. Because part of me had. I didn't respond. She grabbed a suitcase and left, slamming the door so hard a picture frame fell off the wall. I stood there in the silence. And that's when I realized something that made my stomach drop. If she could fake pregnancies this convincingly, what else had she lied about? And who else had helped her? Because lies like this? They don't exist in isolation. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was sad. Not even because I was angry. I was alert. The kind of alert you get when you realize the person you shared a bed with might also be someone you never actually knew. Every creak in the house made my shoulders tense. I locked the bedroom door, which felt dramatic until I remembered I just watched my wife drop to her knees like she was auditioning for a courtroom drama. At 2:17 a.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I didn't answer. A text followed. She didn't mean to hurt you. Please stop escalating this. No name. But I knew exactly who it was from. Her mother. I stared at the message, then laughed quietly to myself. Of course she knew. Of course someone else had been in on this, even if only emotionally. People like Jen don't pull off long cons without an audience. I texted back one sentence. I'm not escalating. I'm ending it. Then I turned my phone off. The next morning, I met Mark at a coffee shop near his office. He looked like a man who just finished reading something that fundamentally altered how he viewed humanity. Jonah, he said, sliding his phone across the table. I ran a background check. Light one. Nothing criminal. But there's a pattern. What kind of pattern? She's done this before. My stomach dropped. Before me? Before you, he said. Different guy. Different city. He showed me a public forum post from 7 years ago. Anonymous username. But the details were unmistakable. My girlfriend lied about being pregnant for nearly a year. Twice. She faked ultrasounds, doctor visits, everything. When I confronted her, she said she just didn't want to be abandoned. The guy wrote about how she'd spiraled after he left. How her family blamed him. How he eventually moved states just to get away from it. The comments were full of sympathy. Warnings. People telling him to run. I felt sick. She escalated with you, Mark said quietly. The second fake miscarriage, the ER story, the documentation. She refined it. I rubbed my face. So what are my options? Divorce, he said bluntly. And a protective order, at least temporarily. She's not violent, but she's unstable. And she's already shown she's willing to fabricate reality. That phrase stuck with me. Fabricate reality. On my way home, I passed a park where a dad was pushing a stroller, talking animatedly to a baby that couldn't understand a word. I pulled over and cried for the first time since Cancun. Not because I missed Jen. Because I missed the future I thought I was grieving with her, when really, I was grieving for nothing. When I got home, there was a package on the porch. No return address. Inside was a baby blanket. The one Jen had crocheted during her second trimester. Folded neatly. Still smelled like her lavender lotion. Tucked inside was a note. I thought maybe you'd want to keep this. Proof that some of it was real. That's when fear finally replaced anger. Because this wasn't closure. This was her still trying to control the narrative. Still deciding what parts of reality I was allowed to keep. I called Mark immediately. She's dropping things at my house, I said. She's not done. Then neither are we, he replied. I'll file the paperwork today. That evening, my sister came over and helped me box up anything that reminded me of the pregnancies, pamphlets, onesies, the crib I'd never finished assembling. When we were done, she sat on the floor next to me and said, You know she's going to tell people you're the villain, right? I nodded. She already has. Are you okay with that? I thought about it. About how exhausted I was from trying to prove the truth to someone who kept rewriting it _. I don't need to win the story, I said. I just need to get out of it alive. The next morning I was served. Not divorce papers. A letter. From a therapist's office. Jen had already started telling people I was emotionally abusive. That my coldness had caused her mental breakdown. That I'd pressured her about kids. That she'd felt unsafe. I sat there, holding the letter, and felt something settle deep in my chest. This was the next act. And I finally understood something crucial. The miscarriage lies weren't the end. They were practice. By the end of the week, I had a restraining order filed, a lawyer retained, and an inbox full of people who suddenly had concerns about how I treated Jen during her pregnancies. It was like watching a virus spread, one carefully worded sympathy post from her, followed by DMs from mutual friends who hadn't spoken to me in years. Hey man, I don't want to take sides, but she just seemed so scared. You were always kind of distant, right? Maybe she didn't feel safe opening up. I didn't respond to any of them. Not because I didn't want to, but because I finally understood how pointless it was. Jen wasn't trying to get closure. She was trying to win. Narratives are currency in modern breakups, and she'd cashed in early. I was standing in the ruins, holding my receipts, while she was already redecorating the crime scene with pity and candlelight. But then the first real crack appeared. A woman messaged me. Private account. No profile picture. Are you Jonah M? I hesitated. Typed back, who's asking? She replied with a name I didn't recognize. Then, I dated Jen in college. You and I need to talk. We set up a call. Her voice was calm. Measured. Like she'd rehearsed this conversation in her head before picking up. I'm not trying to get involved in your divorce, she said. But I saw her post. And I saw some of the comments. And I just felt like someone should tell you. Tell me what? That she's done this before. Not just with you. With me. With at least 2 other people I know about. Faked a pregnancy? No, she said. Fake being the victim. She told me about the time Jen claimed to have been assaulted by a coworker, someone who was later fired and publicly shamed before evidence came out proving he hadn't even been in the city the night she said it happened. She admitted to me, months later, that she'd made it up to get out of a project. Another story, a roommate Jen claimed had emotionally abused her by playing music too loud. That same roommate had paid $600 to break the lease after Jen posted about her on social media, accusing her of being triggering. I dated her for 9 months, the woman said. I believed everything she said. Until I started finding gaps. Contradictions. Stories that didn't line up. And when I tried to ask about it, she flipped it. I finished. Exactly. We hung up after 30 minutes. I sat in silence for a long time. Then I pulled up my inbox and started responding to people. Not with a story. Not with a defense. With facts. I attached scanned images of Jen's forged medical paperwork, the metadata on the fake ultrasound, the receipt from the stock photos site where she downloaded the image, a PDF of the restraining order, screenshots of the pregnancy forum post from years ago, the one where she asked how to make a miscarriage feel real enough to be believed. I didn't add commentary. Just facts. I knew some of them wouldn't believe me. That's how this works. But I also knew enough of them would. And the silence that followed was beautiful. One by one, the sympathy posts started disappearing. One by one, the mutual friends stopped commenting. A few even texted, "I'm sorry. I didn't know. She lied to us too." And then, Elise called. Jen's sister. "Jonah," she said, "you need to know, she's spiraling." I figured. "She's drinking again. She called me last night and told me she was going to drive to your house and set the record straight." I felt my spine stiffen. She better not. I talked her down. But I don't know how long that'll last. She's unraveling. And she's blaming you for all of it. I wanted to scream. To say, I gave her everything. I trusted her. But instead I just said, "Thank you for the warning." Elise was quiet for a moment. Then, "Jonah, I think she needs help. Like real help. Not a yoga retreat or crystals in a mason jar. I think she's sick." I thought about Jen kneeling in the living room, sobbing, saying I was abandoning her. About the fake ER calls. The blanket on the porch. The note. The campaign to rewrite the ending of our marriage. "I think so too," I said. "So what now?" "Now? I protect myself. And I wait. Because people like Jen don't vanish quietly. They reload. They rebrand. And sure enough, the next morning, I woke up to something new. An email from an account I didn't recognize. Subject line, "You ruined me." And I'm not done. Attached? A video. Of me. Sleeping. In my own bed. Recorded from inside my house. A date stamp, 3 nights ago. The night I thought I was finally alone. I called the police immediately. And realized, this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The police took the video seriously. A uniformed officer and a detective came to my house that afternoon. They reviewed the footage on my laptop, asked where the cameras in the house were, I didn't have any, and confirmed what I already knew but didn't want to admit. Someone had been inside my home while I slept. "Any idea who could have recorded this?" the detective asked, notebook open. I just stared at him. "You mean besides the woman who's faked 2 miscarriages, forged medical records, and now thinks I'm responsible for her collapse?" He gave me the kind of look detectives must practice in the mirror. A neutral nod that says we know, but we still have to ask the stupid questions. They dusted for prints. Didn't find any useful ones. Whoever recorded the video had worn gloves. The footage had no sound, just a single angle from the corner of my bedroom, like it had been balanced on the dresser. Jen must have come in while I was at work, or out walking. The timestamp put it 3 days ago, before the restraining order officially kicked in. She knew exactly what she was doing. Walking the line. Terrorizing me in a way that wouldn't leave bruises. Not yet. But the video was enough. The detective said they could push for upgraded charges if she violated the new protection order again. I wanted to feel better. Instead, I went to Lowe's and bought a deadbolt. Changed the locks. Again. Installed a security system that lit up like a Christmas tree every time a leaf moved on the porch. Lacey, my sister, moved in for a few days. Just in case. Neither of us said it out loud, but we were both thinking the same thing: what if Jen comes back? It took 3 more days before she did. Not in person. But online. An anonymous Medium blog. Titled, "The Man Who Broke Me." It was a well-written hit piece. Heartfelt. Poetic. Every paragraph carefully balanced between vague sadness and implied abuse. She never used my name, but she didn't have to. The father who could have been. The man who took my baby away with his silence. The husband who taught me that grief is never shared, only borrowed. It got picked up by a parenting forum. Went semi-viral. Women in the comments called her brave. A few said they'd been with men like that too. And then the real kicker, a GoFundMe. Help me start over after surviving emotional trauma. $10,000 in 3 days. I didn't know whether to scream or admire the craftsmanship. She knew exactly which levers to pull, which words to use, which emotions to harvest. My lawyer said suing for defamation was an option. But it would be messy. Public. Hard to prove unless she directly named me. And I was already exhausted. So I did the only thing I could. I told the truth. I posted a single thread on my private account. No emotion. No accusation. Just a timeline, links to the restraining order, copies of the forged documents, redacted, and confirmation from medical providers that no pregnancy had ever been documented. I ended it with, "This isn't revenge. This is survival. I'm not asking you to hate her. I'm asking you to stop funding her delusions." The post got shared by someone big. Then someone bigger. Then it was everywhere. And just like that, her story cracked. People who donated started asking for refunds. Medium took the blog down after complaints. The GoFundMe froze the account. Jen emailed me 3 times that night. Subject: "You couldn't let me have anything, could you?" I didn't respond. Because she was right. I couldn't let her have anything. Not my grief. Not my name. Not the version of the truth she kept trying to tattoo onto my skin. The last email she sent said, "I hope someday you wake up alone and realize you were the villain after all." And maybe I will. But it won't be because she said it. It'll be because I didn't see it sooner. Because I mistook performance for vulnerability. Control for love. Silence for safety. Because I let her turn tragedy into leverage. Because I gave her every benefit of the doubt. But never again. It's been 6 months now. I moved to a new apartment. New locks. New neighborhood. I see a therapist twice a week. Not because I'm broken. Because I want to understand how I let someone rewrite my reality. I still get texts sometimes from numbers I don't recognize. Some are kind. Some are cruel. Most are confused. But they don't shake me. Because here's what I know now. The scariest villains don't show up with blood on their hands. They show up crying in hospital gowns with stories that almost make sense. They ask for love in the same breath they're stealing your sanity. And they always say, "I only did it because I loved you." But real love doesn't come with a plot twist. It doesn't need props. Or scripts. Or trauma sequels. It just stays. Quietly. Without lies. Without edits. Without rewriting the ending. And that's the only kind of story I want to live in now.